Primetime News is your current affairs offering, giving you insights into local, continental, and global headlines. Many thanks for joining me for this week's midweek edition. I'm Salima Shimwefeleni Masipa. The tabling of the national budget leads tonight's bulletin. Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises Ipumbu Shimi today tabled the 2023-2024 annual budget in Parliament. Let's listen in to the portion of the minister's presentation.
It is my esteemed honor and privilege to stand before you this afternoon to present the 2023-2024 national budget as well as the medium-term expenditure framework for the period 2023-2024 up until 2025-2026. The theme of the budget that I am presenting before this House today is economic revival and caring for the poor. I table this budget in full awareness and recognition of the continued hardships endured by most of our citizens from various corners of our beloved country. While I express gratitude for your forbearance, particularly over the difficult economic times, I would also like to express that your government has not forgotten you, and your government is a caring government.
Still on the budget, in the 2022-2023 annual budget, the education sector received the biggest chunk of the budget. Will this still be the case this year, or will there be a shift in budgetary allocations? Let's find out.
In the education sector, we have increased the allocation to basic education to 16.8 billion in the next financial year starting in April, and a 51.2 billion over the medium-term expenditure framework. Of these allocations, more than 200 million is earmarked for the recruitment of additional teachers to ensure adequate teacher-learner ratios in classrooms. Moreover, more than 570 million has been availed in the development budget to cater for the construction and renovation of classrooms as well as other education infrastructures such as hostels and offices. Listen is coming. We must listen, is coming. Let's listen very carefully. Otherwise, we'll lose very important information. The higher education vote has been allocated 3.8 billion in the financial 2023-2024 and 9.8% higher than the preceding year. The additional allocation is to cater for student funding by the Namibia Student Financial Assistance NASFA, as well as the completion and operationalization of the VTCs as alluded to earlier. Furthermore, an allocation has been made to equip the UNAM Medical School with the requisite equipment to facilitate training in the School of Dentistry.
First Lady Monica Gengos this afternoon welcomed the First Lady of the United States of America, Jill Biden, at the Hosea Kutako International Airport. Biden will be in the country for 3 days. More on this insert.
While in Namibia, Biden's engagements will focus on the empowerment of women and youth, efforts to address food insecurity, and promoting the two First Ladies' shared democratic values. According to the program issued by the United States of America Embassy in Namibia, upon arrival in the country, Biden will join Gengos in visiting Heroes Acre. Afterwards, Biden will meet with President Hage Geingob and First Lady Gengos. On Thursday, she will visit an organization in Katutura to highlight U.S. government programming that supports young people, women and families to improve access to economic opportunities as well as health services. Biden will further deliver a keynote address to students on the role of young people in shaping the future as well as strengthening democracy on Friday before she leaves for Kenya. This is Jill Biden's 6th visit to Africa, her first to Namibia and 3rd visit to Kenya. Reporting for Nampa TV, I'm Michael Madimba.
On to labour matters. The Public Service Union of Namibia Deputy Secretary General Uyama Kahengoro this morning revealed the National Housing Enterprise employees will embark on a nationwide strike on Friday. This comes after the two parties, management and employees, failed to reach a consensus on a once-off payment of $15,000 as the company is not in a position to offer salary increments. Here is Kahengoro with more on the looming strike.
I just would love to share with you that the march talked about looming industrial actions at the National Housing Enterprise, NHE as it is known, has now been finally realized. And the industrial action at this institution will commence on Friday, 24 February 2023, 10 o'clock, countrywide. The memorandum of understanding governing the strike rules has been signed between the two parties, the PSUN and the NHE, before the assigned labor, the conciliator. So that implies that the industrial actions will become legally and protected. And there will be questions around the issues that has become now traditional, the no work, no pay principle, which is now applied by the employers as their biggest weapon at their disposal to persuade the employees to succumb to their threats and to compromise on their commitment to strikes. Yes, that one is also applicable in our memorandum of understanding, but we have crafted our own strategies with a minimum view to avoid any adverse effect on the members at the end of the strike.
Welcome to Primetime Biz, the segment that unpacks all things business and economics for you. We commence the segment with cross-border developments. Namibia and Botswana will on Friday sign a memorandum of understanding that will allow citizens of the two countries to use their national identity cards as travel documents when crossing their borders.
The MOU will be signed at the Mamuno Trans-Kalahari border post in the Omaheke region. A media statement issued on Tuesday said this cross-border arrangement will only apply to citizens of the two countries who are in possession of the new identity cards, which have a barcode. In Namibia, the new identity cards, which also do not feature fingerprints, were launched in October 2021. The signing of the MOU is expected to be witnessed by several government officials from both countries. Reporting for Nampa TV, I'm Michael Madimba.
Popular Democratic Movement President McHenry Venani says there is a need to develop a financial aid package for flood-affected communities in northern Namibia.
Those tasked with the responsibility of resolving the flood situation in the north central part of Namibia have acknowledged that finding one of the One everlasting solution to floods problem proved to be almost impossible. Yet, honorable members, on the 14th of February 2023, we take note that the Cabinet approved an amount of 72 million to the provision of relief assistance to flood-affected communities in northern Namibia. The relief assistance will be in the form of water, tents, food items, mosquito nets, hygiene items, life jackets, blankets, mattresses, psychosocial support to flood-affected communities, amongst many. While this is certainly a necessary intervention on the part of the government, we must not be fooled into thinking that this is adequate and meets the needs of the affected community. It doesn't. Countless lives have been uprooted, and mosquito nets and tents will not restore their lives. As a result, honorable members, this House must urgently debate the need to develop financial packages for the flood-affected communities in northern Namibia. Just as we attempted and did it with COVID-19, that we gave 700 or some amount to those affected, there is a need to identify those families that were severely affected by the floods for them to get financial aid. Now imagine if my Mahamu field is swept away, my house is gone, and I'm getting only mosquito nets and tents and water. That doesn't change my life. What would change the lives of our people is for us to provide tailor-made economic financial packages to assist our people. We must follow the example set by Australia back in 2022, when their federal government availed close to 600 million disaster relief package in their national budget for communities in southeastern Australia. Of that amount, 100 million was for financial aid for the affected communities. The federal government of Australia devised 5 categories to identify the extent of the need for the communities, namely disaster assistance payments and allowances, disaster relief grant, rental support payment, back home grant, and a resilient grant. A similar measure must be put in place for the communities in northern Namibia.
That's where we leave it with the top news for tonight. Stay tuned for the economics roundup, followed by the weather forecast. Welcome to Sport Planet. The high-octane world of Formula One kickstarts the segment. Race boss Andrew Westacott noted a fourth DRS zone will ensure the fastest Australian Grand Prix ever at Albert Park, with cars reaching speeds of up to 340 kilometers per hour. The decision to add another DRS section was among a raft of regulatory changes made by the Formula One Commission late Tuesday ahead of the new season, which gets underway with testing at Bahrain this week. A fourth DRS zone, the most at any Grand Prix, was implemented at Melbourne after a circuit revamp last year, but removed before the race on safety grounds after concern from some drivers. DRS, which stands for Drag Reduction System, was first introduced in 2011 with drivers able to open a flap mounted on the rear wing to increase top speed and aid overtaking maneuvers on parts of the track. But it has now been reinstalled, pushing racing at the circuit, which will host the third Grand Prix of the season, to new levels. On to some football. Manchester United are riding the crest of the wave thanks to the scintillating form of Marcus Rashford, which is keeping Erik ten Hag's men in the hunt for trophies on the forefronts. The Red Devils could end a 6-year wait for any silverware on Sunday when they face Newcastle in the League Cup final. But first comes the chance to land the scalp of Barcelona in a heavyweight Europa League clash on Thursday. Ten Hag is counting on the crowd at the Theatre of Dreams to will his side over the line for what would be United's biggest European scalp since Rashford's penalty dumped Paris Saint-Germain out of the Champions League in 2019. Stand by for your sports roundup. This is where the Primetime News Midweek edition concludes. Many thanks for tuning in. Do join us tomorrow for another insightful and informative edition. From myself, Salima Shimwefeleni Masipa, and the entire production crew, it's good night.